Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you wherever you're listening, watching, tuning in from? I just want to say a good something to you. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to have a terrific show today. And first off, I want to let you know that I am streaming also to TikTok. So, yes, I am. And I'm going to click that button right now. And so I am streaming live to TikTok, and I wanted you to know that as I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. How is the weather where you are? I'm in Detroit. Hi, let me say hello to our TikTok friends. How are you today? I'm streaming on LinkedIn and Facebook, TikTok, because I really believe that the conversation and the topic that we're talking about today is so important. It's one of the biggest questions that I get from the women I work with, leaders from across the country. How do you change your career? How do you reinvent yourself? Do something different in life, particularly if you're in midlife, those 40s, 50s, 60s, that middle of life. So, because I've had some real time experiences with that and wisdom, I wanted to share that with you. So that's what the topic is going to be today. Please let me know who you are, where you calling in from, want to say hello, let me know what the weather's like. I'm coming to you from Detroit, Michigan, where it is gorgeous. The sun is out, it's bright. It's just a beautiful day. What's the weather like where you are? Let me know in the chat. I want you to know too that I've been doing some incredible work with AARP, and I would like, if you're not a member, please join AARP. It is fantastic. But I've been volunteering with them, and it's a terrific way to, new experiences, meet new people, explore career opportunities. Uh-huh. Yes, indeed. That volunteering, when you do that, that is an important step, an important thing that you can do from, when you volunteer. And hello to you, Sean, all the way from Spain, a sunny day here. I want my TikTok friends to know who've just joined that we have listeners from all over the globe who are interested in reinvention, leadership, well being, all those things that make a more vibrant life. Let's get started. Now, I'm a late life entrepreneur. Mhm. In my 60s, I made the bold decision to leave behind a successful career as a nonprofit leader and executive, where I ran organizations and led community initiatives and raised millions of dollars for various community projects. I want you to know, though, that this wasn't my first rodeo when it came to career changes. I had 8 different positions with increasing responsibility within a multi-million-dollar organization over a span of 25 years. And after that, I moved from that organization that I had been with for a very long time to serve as the head of a new national innovative model. And all of my work that I did during that 30 plus years was around change and transformation in schools and neighborhoods and communities. And I want you to know I loved my work deeply because it brought me this real sense of meaning and fulfillment. But here's the thing, even though I had accomplished so much, I found myself craving for something more. I would lie awake at night wondering if there was more to life than what I had already achieved. Now, maybe it was because of the stage of life I was in. Again, I was in my 60s. I was saying to myself, is there more? And if there is, what's next? I had been with the in the same nonprofit world space for so long. I knew every road, every corner, everything in the nonprofit world, everything about social issues, philanthropy. And you know what? Everybody knew my name. I had a reputation for excellence in nonprofit, for making a difference, making an impact. But despite that familiarity and comfort, I yearned for something more. There were, like late night questions I would ask myself, and this curiosity, conversations with my husband, my best friend, all about, well, what's next? Am I just going to finish this career and then retire? Um, and, if that was what's next, that's okay. But I had always had a dream about starting my own business. But was it too late? I mean, was I too old to be stepping out there and doing those things? Particularly, not just the age thing, but also because all of my experience, all of my contacts, all of my comfort zone was in the nonprofit world. And of course, as you know, to go into business, that's the for profit world, a completely different sector. So, I was constantly going through these questions and wondering and, really trying to figure it out. And it's okay to go. One of the things I learned was it's okay to go through that stage because it really was a sign that I was growing and I was seeking more. And the signal was that, hey, my life ain't over. I could be in my 60s, but my life ain't over. And it was okay. And it was also okay not to have all of the answers all at once. And so I knew that I wanted my own platform to help leaders bring about their transformational change to make themselves and the world a better place. And so I wanted to teach and inspire leaders, giving them the insights and the wisdom that I had picked up so that they could transform and reinvent their own lives and then make such a positive impact on the world as leaders. And this could be leaders running their own businesses, heading nonprofit organizations, being executives, whatever it was about, making that impact in the world. I wanted to provide those insights and wisdom to help leaders do that. But the answers that I did have indicated to me that, well, if I wanted all that, I probably needed to change. When I felt this so strongly, that's when I knew it was time for a change, a big change. So I want to tell you, since making that change, making that bold decision in my 60s, that in fact I could shift from executive in the nonprofit world to entrepreneur in the for profit world. Since making that decision and stepping out there, scared that I was, I've really achieved the results. So I'm now a business owner. I'm the founder of Dr. Geneva Speaks. I consult with organizations and leaders worldwide. I specialize in coaching hundreds of women leaders who are navigating life transitions in their own midlife. I've become a top LinkedIn leadership voice, an author, a podcaster. I continue to be appointed to boards and commissions. I'm currently serving as chair of the Michigan Women's Commission appointed by the governor starting out in my 60s. So the point is that you can do it. And people often ask me, how did you do it? How did you change lanes in the middle of your life to something so different? Well, I'm going to tell you, the answers lie in the steps I took and the principles that now form this what's next framework that I've developed and been working on. And it's a roadmap for leaders to shift from uncertainty to confidence, from questioning their next steps to transforming their lives and careers. And this framework that I developed addresses a variety of transitions, but today I want to focus on the steps that guided my own journey from executive to entrepreneur, making a major career shift in my late 60s. And I've chosen this particular aspect of my career and life to share because it was in the late 60s. So I want you to hear it ain't never too late for you to pursue your dream. And then, secondly, I'm hoping that what I share can help you gain whatever clarity you need to have to build your confidence to know that you can achieve a transformation, a purpose fulfilling transformation, no matter what kind of career or life change you face. Okay, so here's step one. When I first started my journey from executive to entrepreneur, the very first thing I had to do was to give myself permission to change. See, it wasn't just about switching careers. It was about empowering myself to take on a new path, a brand new path, even when I was already successful. Because in this new thing, I had to embrace the uncertainty, push through fear, and believe that this new direction was worth pursuing. Because again, it wasn't just a career move, it was a leap into a new life. And it all started for me with that one crucial step, and that was saying yes to change. I had poured so much time and effort into my nonprofit career, like many of you do now. You know, you're excellent, you're seasoned, you've been doing wonderful work. And I had poured so much time into doing my career that I kind of felt guilty and scared about making another change, another move, a big move so radically different. But I realized that if I wanted to move forward, I had to let go of those feelings and accept that it was okay to want to do something different and to do it. And that change was necessary if I wanted to grow. And by giving myself permission to change, I opened up the possibility of new and exciting things happening in my life. Now, to give myself this permission to change, I had to know myself even more deeply than I really thought I had, because I needed to understand clearly what I valued and what I wanted out of life. The reasons or the values that I had in my 20s, 30s, maybe even in my 40s were definitely different than now that I was in my 60s. And so I needed to dive into some serious self reflection and really assess my strengths, the things I wanted to do to improve, what truly drove me and was driving me at that time. So I spent a good amount of time in thinking about my passions, my purpose, trying to understand, figure out my why. Why am I here? Why am I living? What is it that I want to do? Why? And that kind of reflection opens you up, makes you really vulnerable to yourself. But it was such an important thing to do because this self knowledge or deeper self understanding helped me get clear on what I really wanted next. So it was about understanding who I was at my core and using that insight to guide my decisions and embrace whatever was ahead, that change that was ahead. So I took the time to identify my skills and confront whatever limiting beliefs I might have. One of them was my husband, Otha, my God rest his soul. He was an entrepreneur, but one of the most successful ones I've ever seen. He was a businessman to his heart and soul, taught my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter. Everybody around me seemed to be running their own businesses, entrepreneurs. And my husband used to always tell me that, well, being a business owner, that's tough, that's gritty, that's all of this. I mean, it was like this huge, the way he would paint it, unattainable, that was the sub message, thing that you had to really have years of experience in, and all of this, all of that. Okay. And so, that kind of made me kind of nervous, scared, and, doubtful. and And so I knew that I really had to take some time to look at my own skills and if I had a limiting belief about that well, maybe you can't go be this business leader because you haven't had that kind of experience in that business world and you don't know nothing about running businesses. So I really wanted to dive and had to dive deep and connect with my inner self and journal and do mindfulness and spend time thinking about and in solitude and all of that. And doing that, I was able to identify the skills and the things that I had acquired through my career and really look at some of those limiting beliefs. Like I realized, well, I had spent years running organizations that were like small and mid-sized businesses, multi-million dollar budgets, lots of staff, all of the human relations and legal and financial issues and challenges that you'd find in any business. My experience in running those organizations just happened to be in the nonprofit world. So the thing that I discovered through my reflection, my taking some time to really get to know myself and re-know myself and what I've done, I discovered, shoot, I've got skills like planning and problem solving and budgeting and communication and networking and making contacts and making pitches for money. I'd raised millions of dollars for nonprofit causes during my lifetime in nonprofits. So all of those things were transferable to running a business, but I would have never have gotten there if I had not taken that time to self-reflect and ask myself those key critical questions and give myself permission to do that and say, yes, you can in fact move on, embrace this change, explore your inner self, and gain the clarity you need to move forward. So here's the lesson. Giving yourself permission to change and taking the time to know yourself even deeper are critical steps in any career reinvention journey. And so accept that change is necessary for growth and fulfillment and understand yourself and create that strong foundation for your transformation. Now, the second step that I did to be able to successfully reinvent from executive to entrepreneur and make this big change was to make a plan. So once I gave myself the permission to change and know myself better and do that self reflection, I needed a plan for my reinvention of my career. Now, as a community planner, starting out in my career, I had spent my entire career making plans for others, helping neighborhoods transform, working with organizations to create better schools, better communities. But I realized that all of that knowledge and skills, I could use that to help in my own transformation into a new career. So doing that plan is critical because a plan gives you that roadmap to navigate what you need to do, but most of all, those uncertainties and challenges that clearly are going to come up as you're making this change. Because as you know, life happens, and having this plan, having this roadmap helps you. And when you're making a plan, it's about your vision and your values and the goals that you put together. And so I developed a personal vision statement that captured all my dreams and the impact I wanted to make as I became an entrepreneur. I visualized 3, 5, 10 years from now. What did I want my business to look like? What did I want to do? And created a statement that captured all that. And this statement, really, this vision was like my North Star. And let me tell you, it helped keep me focused when all them challenges and different things started happening. I also spent a good bit of time in revisiting my values, taking a look at what was important for me now. Because in that stage of life, wherever you are, that's where you have to look at your values and recheck them to, check in with yourself to see, well, have things changed? Is one thing less important now than it was? Because I'm telling you, when I was a youngster, those things that I thought were important, when I turned 50, when I got to midlife, a lot of those things didn't matter. And that's why it's important at every critical stage of your life, every time you make a transition, to check in on what's important to you. What are your values? And so you use your values, your vision, the things that you want to achieve, those goals, and create a plan. But let me tell you, the plan I'm talking about is more than that. You need some time frames, some benchmarks, and you need to take an assessment of your resources, particularly in terms of the money. I know when I made the transition from executive in the nonprofit world to running my own business, it wasn't just about making that leap. It also was about missing that every 2-week paycheck. And so transitioning from a W 2 to every day, you got to figure out how you're going to create the revenue, how you're going to bring it in. That was a major shift. And what helped me a lot in that was developing this plan, because as I was making a plan, I really focused in on my resources and put together the things that I would have to do to make that shift. Who were the contacts? What type of businesses would I be interested in? Who would be my target audience that I would serve? All of those kinds of things that are important to know. You just don't step out there. You make a plan and identify the skills and the knowledge. And here's the other thing, the support that you're going to need in order to succeed in your new role, whether that's mentors or courses that you might have to enroll in, or developing a whole new network of individuals that would support you. Now, I want to say to you that throughout this planning process, I experienced a range of emotions. I was excited. There were moments of eagerness and anticipation as I thought about my new future. There were also times of fear and self doubt, because I realized that I really don't know what I'm doing. Do I? It was that question. Well, do I? And stepping into something completely new and different, those times can be scary. But one of the things I learned to do was to acknowledge those emotions and figure out ways to embrace them as a normal part of the transition journey. When you're reinventing yourself, it's a process. And oftentimes that process is outside your comfort zone. So the lesson here is that a plan, making a game plan, a strategy, an action plan is crucial for your successful career reinvention. And so, developing that vision, aligning your goals, remembering and figuring out and rechecking your values, looking at your resources, particularly the money, all of those things can help guide you through the challenges and uncertainties that will definitely be part of your career reinvention journey. Now, before I go to step 3, if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments, because after I get through this teaching, I do plan to, if you've got questions, I'd love to respond to them, but drop them in. And again, I want to say hello to my TikTok family. I'm so glad you're here. And so let's continue and with step 3, which is the next step, the third step that's so important in reinventing your career, and that is doing the work. Okay. In other words, so I had my deep reflection. I had given myself permission. Hey, go on, take this, go on, do this thing, do this change, girl. I told myself that, had my plan in place. It was now time to take action. And this, you might say, well, of course, Dr. Geneva, you got all that stuff lined up. You're going to take action. This is where things can get real tough, because again, life happens. 2 months after I had planned to hang up my shingle, my husband got his first diagnosis of cancer. And also, my children were getting ready to graduate. So, balancing those life things, because they happen. Life doesn't stop because you want to do something different. And so, taking action can be tough. Zig Ziglar talks about how the gap between who you are now and what you want to be or where you want to go is what you do to get there. That's the action. So, this was one of the most challenging parts of my journey and required that effort and persistence, because it wasn't a straight path. Life happens. And on top of that, life happening, there were the times when, as I said, I was doubting myself and my decision to shift from something I knew, the comfort, and something I'd been in forever, it seemed, to this brand new unknown world of running my own business. And then the other thing that happened, I want to share with you that in some respects, I thought I was having a loss of identity and purpose, because You understand, I had been 30 plus years doing that same thing. And there was, I thought, my identity associated with that thing I was doing for so many years. So you find yourself in this process of where you're on top of everything else, you're also grappling with this loss of identity and purpose. And when your phone ain't ringing as frequently as it used to because you're doing something new and different, maybe you feel a little rejected and uncertain. So, all of these emotions, I just want to tell you, happen as you're going through your career reinvention and oftentimes any reinvention, but we focus on career right now. So this is when you're taking action, you need to remind yourself why you started down this path. This gets back to your why. This gets back to knowing yourself. This gets back to understanding the reasons why you're doing this and reconnecting with the passion and the impact of your why and the differences you want to make. This will give you the strength to move forward. Now, to also stay on track, I really did create a system, a schedule, a structure for my work, and would really stay focused on the plan and try to follow it as much as I could, being, of course, flexible, but maintaining that momentum and, of course, looking to make progress whenever I could, even when there were challenges. And seeking out new experiences and continuous learning as you're taking action helps. Enrolling in courses and workshops, because again, that keeps you focused, that are related, of course, to the shift that you're making, because this keeps you focused, talking with developing support systems, your mentors, and this learning mindset helps you acquire the skills and knowledge that you need to succeed in your new field, and keeping committed to your plan, yet being flexible. And so balancing the demands of any career reinvention and your personal life and things that are happening is tough, but you got to do the work. That's the bottom line. You've got to do the work. And one of the things that's helpful is that when you feel overwhelmed or exhausted or discouraged, celebrate the small victories along the way. I remember when I first got my LLC. Now, that was really, it really was a simple process, and got my EIN from the IRS and got back the letter and said, Dr. Geneva Speaks LLC, and had all the, you are a business now. I celebrated. I took a trip, a short trip, a stay vacation, but I celebrated because it was a victory. It doesn't matter how small it was, I found a way to celebrate. And this helps you celebrating small victories along the way and finding joy in this growth process that you're going through. So the lesson is, listen, doing the work of career reinvention requires constant effort, perseverance, the ability to adapt to challenges and setbacks, stay connected to your passion, to your why. They're going to give you that motivation and resilience you need. Embrace learning, continuous learning. You're in a growth phase, so you want to keep that mindset going. You can do it. The fourth step that I wanted to share with you that I took in reinventing my career and making a major shift in later life was I had to take care of myself. Mhm. I realized as I was navigating through my this process that taking care of myself was really non-negotiable. If nothing else, because I needed the energy to be able to do this stuff. transformation, any kind of transformation, even if you are in later life, does require that energy and passion and resilience. So I had to give some priority to my well being to sustain myself through these ups and downs and the new things and the things that were going on. And I found myself needing to build support systems, systems that would help me deal with self doubt and imposter syndrome, deal with emotional resilience, that ability to bounce back. I had been a seasoned leader for many years. So my emotional intelligence, how to handle situations and feelings and run meetings and all of that, supervising employees. I had a lot of experience and considered myself pretty intelligent emotionally. But I found as I got into later life and was making this shift, it really was more about emotional resilience, the ability to, whatever happens, to be able to bounce back. And so, building a system, building ways to support my ability to bounce back became critically important. And developing those systems and being kind and compassionate towards myself was important. And so self care became a critical component of my resilience strategy. So I prioritized activities that nourished my mind and my body and my spirit, regular exercising, drinking plenty of water, healthy eating, and all of those things. I upticked my focus and my doing those things during this period. Now, self care alone isn't enough, building those support systems. I also made my relationships a top priority during this period. So I invested the time and the energy connecting and reconnecting with my family and friends and seeking out new relationships that would support my personal and professional growth. And having these positive, strong connections made a difference, makes a difference during this reinvention process. And even though there were lots of folk, not lots, I don't want to act like it was a whole bunch, but there was plenty of folk who would say to me, what you doing? Isn't it time for you to retire? Or why don't you go and relax and enjoy yourself? And so you would get that, aren't you too old? And so me having the positive connections with family and friends who, in their own ways, supported me was so critical to my taking care of myself. Again, because that provided me a source of strength and information and oftentimes joy throughout my journey. So the lesson here is in the steps of reinventing, making that transformation in your career, taking care of yourself is essential for navigating the challenges and emotions that are surely going to be there. And prioritize your well being. Make sure that you're emotionally resilient. You can bounce back as things are happening. And remember that, listen, this journey requires plenty of energy, and you got to take care of yourself to do it. And so, the fifth and final step that I wanted to leave with you in this process of how I reinvented my career in my 60s successfully is that I placed priority attention on the legacy I was going to leave. You know, in making this shift, certainly I was fulfilling a lifelong dream that I had. And I'm going to do a video on that as well, because I'm often asked, well, how do you figure out what your passions are? What, the joy you give, and how can you turn that into a career or something you would do in your life? How can you turn that hobby into a career path? But as I decided that I was going to do this lifelong dream and would fulfill that for myself, and of course, the value that I wanted to bring, part of that conversation in my head and what I wanted to do was the kind of impact that I would want to make. And so, this concept of legacy and leaving a legacy in the later parts of my life took on a new sense of urgency and significance. So I knew that I wanted to use my skills and experiences and passions to make a meaningful contribution. Now, don't get me wrong, like many of you, I've been doing some good things, but it just took on a different perspective, because leaving a legacy in my mind meant, well, how can I mentor others so that they can continue, so that they will make an impact? How can I do a project or be involved in an activity or an initiative that will have longer lasting effect? So it just has a different frame. It had for me a different frame at this stage of my life. But this step is a crucial one, because figuring out the kind of impact I wanted to have, which wasn't just about mentoring or passing on knowledge, though those things are important. It really was about creating a lasting impact that would ripple long after I was gone. And so, thinking about and figuring out how to use my unique talents and perspective to make a difference in the lives of individuals, organizations, and communities was where I was at. And I wanted to make sure that I shared this step in the process, because I think it's so critically important, because it circles back to your why and your passion. I started considering the issues and the causes I was most important, most that were most important to me, and I was most passionate about. What problems did I want to solve? Which again is one of the key questions that you ask yourself when you go into business. What problem did I want to solve? Who did I want to serve? And so by clarifying this focus, I could identify opportunities where I could make the greatest impact and leave a legacy. And of course, the decision I made was through mentoring and coaching, because I knew that with decades of being a seasoned exec, I had a lot of things to share, a lot of insights to give, that inner wisdom insights that I could share. And so it became more to me than just running a business. That's important. The work that I do really is about making a difference, making an impact in the lives of leaders and entrepreneurs and executives, so that they can make an even greater impact in what they're doing. And that also involves philanthropy and volunteering. That is, as you're moving through your career reinvention, making these shifts, these differences, ask, ask yourself, well, how can I contribute to my community? How can I volunteer? How can I give? And so joining boards and committees and organizations that are aligned with the career shift that you want to make not only makes good business sense, whatever that career is, but it also creates the kind of impact and gives back to the community of your skills and expertise. So, including this leave a legacy conversation action is important to the process of reinvention, and it requires a commitment to growth and impact. And so ultimately, the legacy I wanted to leave was one of impact, compassion, and inspiration. And I wanted to be remembered not just for those professional achievements, but for the lives that I touched and the communities that I strengthened and the world and the issues I helped shape. And so by focusing on contribution and impact, how can I contribute to the world? By focusing on that in your career reinvention, you can really find, I know I did, a sense of purpose and fulfillment that really goes beyond a single career or accomplishment. So the lesson here is that leaving a legacy is about making a lasting impact and contributing to the world in meaningful ways. And as you incorporate this in your reinvention strategy, it will help you with your why, your purpose, your focus, and really all about how can you contribute to the world. So those are the 5 steps that I wanted to leave with you. Remember that reinventing your career in midlife is a transformative journey, and it does require that courage and self-reflection and a commitment to personal growth and making that plan and taking care of yourself during the process of you doing that work. And remember to leaving this legacy. And so I want to ask you, what's your inner wisdom telling you about any career shifts that you want to make? What passions and talents are waiting to be expressed in your next chapter? I believe that you already have everything within you to create the life and career that fills you with joy, purpose, and meaning. You have that within you. So trust in yourself, embrace the journey, and know that your unique contributions are really needed in the world. And remember, it's never too late to rewrite your story. So those are the lessons and steps that I wanted to leave with you. If we have questions or comments, I know I like to do around 45 minutes or so. And so I know we're at that point. But again, so what are you waiting for? Make those career shifts that you want to make. If you've got questions, let me know. You can always DM me or go to elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, and you can join me. And every day we talk about tips and things that you can use and grow from. So good to see all of you. Yes, I want to say hello to everyone who joined and made comments. Thank you so much. Thank you, Melanie, for being here. Such a pleasure to see you. So glad you joined. If you, Sean, love you. If you have questions or comments, you can DM me. Join me at Elevate Next Level Success. Or if you're thinking about a career shift and want some help or want to partner with you, DM me and I'll be delighted to talk with you about your journey. I'm going to see you all later. Bye. Thanks for being here.